Breaking news, the California Highway Patrol in pursuit of dirt bikes.
Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal with more for us. Des, this is something a little unusual.
Yeah, Juan and Amy, and it's not just one but two dirt bikes here that CHP is pursuing. Well, right now they're just monitoring this from the air. They called off the ground units. It might have been getting kind of dangerous. In fact, we hear that these suspects were going the wrong way on the freeway along the right-hand shoulder earlier. I believe that was on the 60 freeway that they were doing that. So we're on the 60 again. We just kind of jogged south of downtown LA on some surface streets like Washington. They were near the LA River at Santa Fe, Alameda, that area. Just got back on the freeway. And what they're wanted for, well, it sounds like CHP may have been trying to pull them over because they're not wearing any protective gear. These might be minors. We're still trying to discern that, but it's basically just kind of a failure to yield situation. It was nothing extremely serious that they were pulling these two suspects over. Not that we've heard yet anyway. There may be more to this to uncover, but you can see, yeah, they're not wearing helmets, and they're in some pretty heavy traffic right now, which is actually advantage them right now since they can just kind of lane split. You see a CHP officer there as they kind of fly by them. So they may be getting ready to re-engage, but we also heard the air unit saying they're kind of just, yeah, there's the unit right there, but whoa, kind of close there as they speed up. But it sounds like the air unit's kind of just hoping, maybe we can just follow this and wait for them to run out of fuel, and then we can get them in custody. So we'll see how they handle this, but we are starting to get kind of, back into normal traffic patterns here in LA for the first time in a week or so. Heavy Thursday traffic here eastbound on the 60 out of the Eastdale interchange. Juan, Amy, and Mike.
And you're right about that, Desmond. They have a huge advantage. They can just kind of zip around traffic, get around cars a lot easier than even a motorcycle would. All right, let's go to our Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike, you have some information for us?
Yeah, I was looking at the radar here. It looks like this air unit started following them on the northbound 5 at Commerce. So they've kind of been in the same area. They came on the 5, they went into the downtown area a little bit on surface streets, then got back out on the 60, and now they're back approaching the 710. And to Desmond's point, so the guy on the white motorcycle or the dirt bike in the front is actually on his cell phone. You can see when Des gets in, he's holding it up to his face. I don't know if he's talking or if he's doing, voice text or whatever.
He's looking down.
Yeah, look. So in addition to not wearing a helmet, he's also texting while in pursuit, or at least on the phone. And in addition to not wearing the helmets, these dirt bikes do not appear to be street legal. Remember, if you're going to ride any kind of two-wheel motorcycle or dirt bike on the road, it's got to have license plates, it's got to have turn signals, it's got to have brake lights, it's got to have headlights, and it does not appear that either of these have those things, which is likely what caught the CHP's attention to begin with, especially since they're riding on the freeway, and then as we talked about, at one point even going wrong way on the freeway. So lots of reasons they want these guys. Got to be careful, though, because they are on motorcycle or dirt bikes. They are going in and out of traffic like this, and these two are not wearing helmets. So CHP needs to be careful not to get things too kind of amped up with these guys, because if they crash, especially while this guy is, for God knows what reason, on his cell phone while doing all of this, it could be an issue where they get hurt, and certainly CHP doesn't want that, even though these guys are refusing to stop right now.
And it's so dangerous watching the one on the bike, the white bike. He's been looking backwards so much. Every time I see him looking backwards, it makes me so nervous because I feel like he's about to crash into one of these cars.
Yeah, or at least sideswipe a mirror or, something like that. And it doesn't take much on these dirt bikes to lose your balance.
And he's looking down many times, Mike. You're right. I'm watching him on his on the motorbike there. Again, we're talking about the guy in the white leading the pursuit here. Yeah. And there's another CHP unit coming real close. But the thing is, what do you do here? Any movement could possibly have these guys fall off their bikes, cause some injury to them, possibly even more traffic problems out there. But again, they have such an advantage, Mike. They're on these motorbikes and they're just zipping through traffic.
Well, what would be interesting to do is see if CHP tries to get their own motorcycles involved in this. I've seen that in the past with dirt bike or motorcycle pursuits, where they'll try to get it's called a Mary unit for the CHP, but try to get those guys involved. Because you see every time one of the patrol cars gets close to them, they get a little bit more zippy. They get some distance, spread out a few more lanes from them. So those cars, and with this traffic, those ground units, even if they wanted to engage, they're not going to be able to keep up with it, right? Because of the way that these guys are able to zip in and out of the traffic. They're going about 45 miles an hour. The traffic, as you can see that they're passing, going much slower than that. So those patrol cars are just simply not as nimble in and out of the traffic the way these dirt bikes are.
And I'm just wondering, I mean, how fast can these dirt bikes go? I'm not really familiar with dirt bikes and what kind of speed they have.
Yeah, and I can, and Des, weigh in on this too, because I know you know a little bit about this, but dirt bikes generally can go, I mean, pretty quick. They can go freeway speeds, if not a little bit faster. Do you know what their general top speeds are, Des?
No, I mean, you know, they're obviously not designed for this. I mean, so I'm not totally sure, but I mean, we can clearly see they're able to get up to reasonable freeway speeds at the most, or at the very least. We're up to just about 60 miles an hour. But yeah, I mean, these are definitely more for off-roading, kind of romping around like motocross sports that you might see, something more like that. And I think CHP, like I said, they're just hoping that these guys are going to run out of gas, because we know that they don't have very large gas tanks, and they're probably running through that fuel pretty quickly if these engines aren't really designed to be driven at these kind of higher speeds for that long. But so wrong, right, splitting it up here, going right by another motorcycle, just ridiculous. One on the right side, one on the wrong side. It's just, is this really worth it, guys? I mean, really, literally gambling with your life now at this point. And there you see now both of them on the wrong side of the road. I think I saw a sheriff's deputy. Yeah, and now they're going back on the westbound 60. It looks like they're getting right back on. So really just crazy. Almost just seems like they're daring CHP to come and engage with them. And it's just like, this was probably just going to be a pretty simple citation. I mean, I don't know, maybe they would have impounded the bikes or something, but you're not even wearing helmets. You're out here on the freeway, the wrong side of the road. The guy on the white bear was barely even paying attention. He was pretty much doing everything but driving on his cell phone and looking behind him and over his shoulder. In rush hour traffic, it's really insane here, what we're witnessing with these two dirt bikes.
And you know, whether or not these motorcycles or dirt bikes are street legal or not, they were only wanted for not having helmets, right?
Yeah, the initial, it was just a violation of of riding these bikes where they are not street legal. And as long as the two of them didn't have anything else going on, as Desmond mentioned, they would have been pulled over. They probably would have gotten a ticket. And if everyone cooperated, as this CHP unit gets real close to them, if everyone cooperated, they probably would have been told to go home, or at most a ticket and impounding the bikes. If they didn't have any warrants or anything like that, they probably would not have ended up in jail tonight. And now they for sure are, because at minimum now that's felony evading.
Felony evading. We don't know if those bikes are really theirs or not. Maybe that's why they took off. So some very dangerous driving here. We're seeing the speed tracker there on SkyCal telling us these two motorbikes are going about 50 miles an hour at times, and traffic getting a little heavier here. But again, these two guys have a great advantage. These motorbikes have no problem slipping through traffic. And like you said, Mike, they're very lucky. They haven't hit any side mirrors. They haven't sideswiped anybody, because it's very easy to lose your balance once you get hit and you're disoriented. But doesn't look like that's the case. Yeah,
it isn't. And, I don't know if it's a strategy of theirs to hang out where the traffic is the worst, because certainly they're doing that. I mean, but what they don't know, or what they should know, is that there is a CHP fixed wing and a sheriff's helicopter in addition to all of the news helicopters that are up there. So they may be able to lose the ground units, but they're certainly not going to lose either of the law enforcement aircraft that are above them. The other thing that is, a disadvantage for law enforcement is because these aren't street legal, there's no license plates, right? So there's no way for them to run it, figure out who these guys are, and catch up with them later. That's not really an option in this situation. So as the guy on the blue bike now looks like standing up. Oh. Now that's interesting. So I can't tell, is that a shoulder? That's a shoulder, right? So that car is also driving on the shoulder. So I wonder what that was about, if that car was trying to, slow them down, or was also, and there he is, still on his phone.
Gosh, it is just nerve-wracking seeing this.
Go ahead, Des.
I think we've all experienced, really rude motorcycles with the high speed lane splitting and stuff in traffic, and now on the right-hand shoulder. Maybe that vehicle is just getting aggravated, trying to kind of block them in. But all it's going to take is one person to try to make a lane change, cut over really quickly, and they're going to make contact with that mirror. And at the very least, they are going to be in some serious pain when they get knocked off their bike. If they're lucky that that's all that happens. So it's really crazy. I mean, I almost wonder with all of the kind of brashness of these suspects, if the one on the white bike was like live streaming or something. It's really an unfortunate a recent kind of occurrence that we've been seeing with some of these suspects getting on social media, almost like bragging that they're doing this. And so worth wondering if that's what it is. But yeah, here we are, southbound 710, and this is definitely one of the more congested areas here, southbound between the 60 down to about Washington. Typically, once you get south of there, it starts to loosen up around this time of the day, and they really do seem to be content to just be in these high traffic areas, which, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a technique that they could use to, a tactic, I should say, to put some distance between them and the ground units. That's not going to help with the air units, and it just makes things that much more dangerous for them and everyone else being in this heavy traffic as well. So just really, really brash behavior, zigging and zagging all over the place, countless lane splits here on the right-hand shoulder, you know, or if they hit some debris or something on that right-hand shoulder, it's going to end very badly for them as well. But yeah, it continues now as we make our way through Commerce and Vernon and down towards Bell Gardens, and we'll see what their next move is going to be.
And they have no protective gear either. It's interesting. Sometimes I see they're just driving with just one hand.
Yeah.
On one hand on the handlebar, and the other one's either on their phone or not on it at all. So again, any sudden movement, anything where they may have to stop or make a quick adjustment could knock them off these bikes, and of course that could be very dangerous to everyone out there, including them. Right now, southbound 710 freeway, right there in Commerce. So it looks like they're close to the Washington Boulevard exit here. They're either hitting the shoulder or they're hugging that right lane. And again, just creating so much distance. And the white bike seems to be the lead, and that blue bike has no problem following. The white bike makes quick lane changes and moves around, and that bike behind Mike just follows right along.
Yeah, you know, and it almost, when they got off the freeway that one time and he ended up on the wrong side of the road, you know, that was the only time where he was kind of in the lead. And then you had the white bike get back in front. And it looks like, I can't tell if the guy on the blue bike is almost wearing shorts.
Yeah.
You see his leg there a little
like
bit.
that.
I mean, talk about road rash if he falls off that thing.
gosh,
That's not going to be comfortable at
Oh,
all. The white bike also looks to be a little bit of a bigger type of dirt bike. So maybe a little bit more powerful. Maybe it can go a little bit longer than the blue one there. But it's just, you continue to watch these, and the guy on the white bike is just clearly not paying attention. At least he's got both hands on the handlebars this time and not on his phone. But he's constantly looking back, looking all around. I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen, but it seems like it's kind of only a matter of time until, you know, they kind of sideswipe somebody on accident, or they're just not paying attention to what's going on as they, you know, they're moving at decently high speeds. I mean, certainly not, you know, anything crazy, but for what they're doing and the not protective gear that they have on, then it could be very dangerous for them.
Yeah, but they seem to certainly have experience on these bikes. They know how to maneuver them. They are certainly able to zigzag in that traffic, and you know, they seem to know how to ride these dirt bikes. So it is likely that they own these bikes, or at least have been having access to them for some time. And man.
What's kind of interesting, because we've seen, you know, we've covered dirt bike pursuits before, or at least motorcycle pursuits as well. And what's kind of interesting is usually when we see this, they get off, especially dirt bikes, which would be so capable of this, they get off into these ravines or these river bottoms, or, you know, places that it is actually really difficult. What happened to his hand there? Yeah. Where they actually have a much better shot of getting away, where they get under a tree canopy or something. So it's been kind of interesting to see them just stay on the freeways the whole time.
I wonder what he's fussing with. You see the guy on the blue bike, he's fussing with something there underneath his seat.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the engine is. Maybe he's trying to, yeah, it's hard to tell if he's trying to give it more power or something like that. But yeah, he's definitely messing around with something down there.
Just incredible. And again, for those just joining us right now, these two guys on these motorbikes, on these dirt bikes, just wanted for not wearing the right equipment, and these dirt bikes are apparently not street legal, right, Mike? That's what you were telling us earlier?
Yeah. So in order for any kind of anything with a motor on it to be street legal, it has to have license plates. It has to have turn signals, brake lights, headlights, all of those things. And these dirt bikes don't have any of that. So in addition to not wearing the helmet, it is also not legal to ride it on the street, which is likely why CHP, you know, originally got involved, what caught their attention. Now, as we go southbound on the 710, this is an area that we have not gone to yet. This pursuit has not gone to yet. They kind of came up and down the 5, went on the 60, some surface streets over in East LA, and now we're southbound 710 coming into the Bell Gardens. Bell Gardens to the east, the city of Bell to the west, as they continue to go southbound on the 710.
Yeah, and if they keep going, they'll hit Long Beach, and you know, traffic heading into Long Beach at this time of day. is heavy. And as you were mentioning, Mike, after these fires, for a while, traffic was kind of light in Los Angeles, and we're starting to get to see that regular traffic pattern again, more people out and about doing their things. So they're most likely going to hit some traffic. But again, they're just hugging that shoulder right now. Doesn't seem to have any problem right now.
Yeah, and you know, as you mentioned, Juan, a lot of people were being allowed to work remotely while the smoke was an issue, and so yeah, it does seem that a lot of that has kind of lifted here as the traffic is heavier, and just riding on the shoulder. So many times, not only is it, you know, you're weaving in and out of cars, but who knows what is on those shoulders of those freeways. I mean, we've seen several pursuits lately where people end up spiking themselves because they run over debris that are on the shoulders. So we'll see. I mean, that is, you know, losing a tire on a dirt bike, it could be very dangerous. If your wheel starts wobbling and all of those things, you could fall off of it. So, you know, we don't necessarily want to see that, but really ultimately, like Des was saying, hopefully these things just run out of gas soon. You can see the one in the back is starting to look up. He may be realizing all of
the guy in the white's doing that too now, Mike.
Yeah, they may be realizing all the helicopters that are overhead now.
Exactly. Mike, remind us, where were these two first spotted by law enforcement?
Yeah, so kind of in the East LA area. So I'm looking at, you know, like where the sheriff's helicopter, there's 3 law enforcement aircraft I just realized there. You got, sheriff's just pulling off. Okay, so now we've got a CHP helicopter and a CHP fixed wing. The sheriff's helicopter was the first one over it though, and it looks like they kind of picked it up, let's see, kind of on the 5. Looks like maybe the 5 north is where they picked it up. And then they came north and they got off on surface streets, and then they went into the downtown area. That's where Des picked it up before they got on the 10 East, transitioned to the 60 East, went off the 60 in the East LA area, got westbound 60, went northbound 710, and then now southbound 710. And now we're southbound 710 coming into like Cudahy. I think the next major is going to be Firestone.
Well, I think he's trying to pull like that pant leg down.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if maybe it's getting too hot near the engine. You know,
yeah,
his
maybe
leg's
that's
getting,
what it is.
you know, maybe starting to burn. So his pants were pulled up. We thought he was in shorts, but I think that his pant leg was just pulled up. So now he's pulled it down because I bet you that engine is getting quite hot. Yeah, it's starting to burn his leg.
Hey, Mike, I have a question. You mentioned there's a fixed wing and there's also a helicopter. We know how the helicopter works with our SkyCal, et cetera. They can hover, move around. Does a fixed wing just got to keep going?
Yeah, a fixed wing, they're just doing circles kind of a little bit. So they're up there, they're a lot higher. They're above SkyCal and above all the other helicopters. And their primary purpose is to either, especially when there's 2 suspects, if the suspects split, one can keep an eye on one can keep an eye on the other. And then the fixed wing is a lot better at night as well. They've got a really intense camera on there that they can help follow these guys. Weather is not as big of an issue for the fixed wings as it is for the helicopters. But right now they're both there, and then they'll be able to use that. The fixed wing, since it's much higher, can keep a kind of wider picture or wider view on everything if these guys were to get out and run. And then, like I said, you know, one aircraft could keep an eye on one of the suspects, the other one could keep an eye on the other if they split up when they run.
I remember years ago I did a story where a fixed wing was being used to catch speeders on some stretches of freeway or highway because they were really high up, and then they could radio down to the units on the ground to say, hey, this car is going this fast, and they would catch them.
Yeah, I may or may not have been pulled over in Barstow once that way by a fixed-wing CHP aircraft that was up there. And you can't see them. I mean, that's the other thing, too, is if they wanted to back everything off, you know, you could still follow them from the fixed-wing, and these two may not realize that they're being followed by a fixed-wing plane.
Really fascinating, right, the way law enforcement works, the way that all these things kind of unravel here. And we're watching these 2 guys basically keeping the CHP at quite a distance because they are riding these dirt bikes. They can get in and out of traffic very easy. They kind of hug the shoulder for as long as they can before dipping back into the lanes of traffic. And here now we're almost approaching the 5 o'clock hour, 4:42 right now. Seems like they have no problem. They're riding side by side or they're riding in a single file there. And again, no problems, but the eyes are up in the sky. We're watching, the CHP is watching, and we all know how these end. The question is, will they eventually run out of gas? Because these dirt bikes are usually used in an enclosed area where they're jumping mounds of dirt, they're racing around in circles, they're not really riding on freeways like Southern California freeways at high rates of speed, which we know burn a lot of gas at the same time.
Yeah, and the fact that they don't have on helmets and they're on the highway and it's just so dangerous. Yeah. And, you know, I know at one point either Mike or Desmond mentioned that they might have been minors. I know that the one on the blue bike has a smaller frame. I don't know if he's a younger guy or just a smaller frame, but you know, it's just such a dangerous situation. And, you know, those helmets are, you know, required by law, although not to date myself too much. I remember when they weren't, you know, you didn't have to wear one by law, but the laws changed just to protect people on bikes. And now we see them riding so close together, clearly having a conversation and keeping up the speed of nearly right around 50 miles per hour. And it almost appears like they're just on a sunset ride, you know?
Riding
just
into the sunset.
Ride, yeah.
Well, and you always just wonder what the plan is, right? Like they're clearly communicating and talking to each other about what they're going to do. You see them looking behind them to see if there's any units. They're looking at the helicopters. You know, they're on the phone with somebody. Who knows if it's, hey, can we come hide out at your place? You know, what that kind of conversation is. Des, where are we transitioning to right now? Oh, the 105.
We are making our way, westbound 105 now at this point. And, you know, Amy, you mentioned riding into the sunset. And
That's
right.
right.
I mean, we need to mention that because the sun is going to be setting here
in
about 20 minutes time. And as Mike said, we're talking about vehicles here that don't have any headlights. They don't have any brake lights or any turn signals either. So, you know, if they would be wise to wrap up this joyride before nightfall because it's just going to make it, it's really going to amplify the danger for them and everyone else if they continue with all of this. And it's just crazy how casual they're being, just kind of, you know, right next to each other talking, again, barely even paying attention to what's happening, just communicating back on the phone. Definitely worth wondering if they're trying to reach out to someone like Mike was saying that will, you know, give them shelter or advice on what they're going to do. But all of this for such a minor thing. And I covered way too many serious motorcycle crashes in my traffic reporting days. And I mean, pretty much any time someone goes down on a bike, especially above like 30 miles an hour, you're talking serious injury. And I mean, you're talking very, very serious injuries, you know, possible head trauma or worse, especially when you're saying, you know, no helmets on. So just all of the danger involved in the situation, especially for these guys, for something that was seemingly so minor. If there was, you know, I mean, what else was going on behind the scenes here for them to be willing to do all this? But westbound 105 coming up to Long Beach Boulevard, and then we're kind of making our way towards Compton and South LA. A little bit of traffic here. I think it's going to start to clear up once we get west of the 710. The eastbound 105 is the volume side in the afternoon. Actually, you can see it's already starting to lighten up a little bit. But yeah, how much more fuel do they have? And maybe that's what they're trying to, you know, plan their next move for when they do run out of fuel, because they've been going for a while, and I can't imagine that they have too much more left in the tank.
Yeah, it looks like they were negotiating something earlier, talking with each other, riding there side by side. The one on the white bike there looks like he's still looking at his phone. The one on the blue bike, just one hand there on the handlebars. And again, riding into the sunset. These bikes now, as we're getting a shot from SkyCal from the back, you can see definitely no license plate, no red lights in the back, no white light in the front, which would then make it, of course, street legal, but that's not the case. So very dangerous. And we're hoping, Des, that you're right, that they would eventually want to bring this to an end before nightfall, because then they'll be more difficult to see by other drivers on the freeway.
Absolutely. They're both in black clothing. It's going to be very hard to see them. I mean, at least the one bike is white, but it's still going to be tough to see once it's dark out there.
Yeah. And, boy, we're pretty much at freeway speeds here as well. I mean, geez, up to, well, between 50. Look like that may have been an anomaly there from our map tracker. They've been kind of between 45 and 50 miles an hour,
Whoa.
which, you know, is probably the maximum that these bikes can do. I mean, again, definitely not a motorcycle expert, but I don't believe that these bikes are designed to be going above 45 miles an hour for long stretches of time. Might be a situation where you could overheat the engine. These are more for, you know, romping around in the mud and up hills and, you know, kind of torquey engines that are better for situations like that, not for flat, smooth pavement and going at highway speeds. And so it looks like 45, 50 is about the best that these bikes can consistently manage. But still, yeah, just, I don't know, looking over their shoulder constantly and talking, and the older one, I don't know if these, you know, these are brothers or what, but the one on the white bike definitely looks to be a bit older, as we're exiting now at Wilmington Avenue, so making our way into South LA. And let's see if this is part of their strategy to exit here and potentially ditch these bikes, as it looks like they're going to be making a southbound turn here. Or no, excuse me, westbound. So we're on Imperial Highway.
Look at that.
Oh, what's this? A couple of other ones have joined them now. Now we've got 4 bikes out there.
Uh-oh.
If these are their friends or or if they just saw what was going on, 5 now getting it involved. No, excuse me, 4. Yeah.
That's got a guy's got an all-terrain vehicle.
Oh my
an
gosh,
ATV.
we've got like a little, like a whole posse here.
Oh my goodness.
Popping wheelies.
So that's what they were doing on the phone, coordinating.
Yeah, it looks like they were summoning their friends. I mean, we've all seen these big kind of, motorcycle groups that go around on group rides. So I don't know if they were just on, talking to their chat group or what. If these are clearly people that they know. So yeah, coordinating that, and now we've got all kinds of just bragging going on. And now a big group, and well, we're gonna try to just stick with the original 2 though right here, and not get too distracted by everyone else who has suddenly got involved. And yeah, we've got a whole slew of motorcycles out here now. And
so dangerous right here.
Well, at least some of them are wearing helmets.
Oh yeah, just insane.
But those ATVs, those aren't street legal either.
No.
All-terrain vehicle, but the freeway is not part of that terrain.
Well, but those quads or ATVs are at least a little bit closer, because I think at least that white one I think's got a brake light on it, and maybe so does the black one there. So at least you're a little bit closer, but still no license plates, no turn signals, nothing like that to make them street legal. And if this was the mission here, right? Bring a ton of people in here, get everybody confused. And the original 2, oh look, we're gonna get gas.
Do they? Yeah, I think they. Yep, I think. There we go. We were thinking that maybe they needed gas while they're stopping. I wonder if they're trying to kind of confuse everyone under this awning right now.
Are they getting gas?
See them pretty well.
Well, I mean, they're sitting in front of the pump, but no one's doing it.
If CHP wants to come and move in, I don't see any ground units in the immediate area yet, but are they?
Somebody's gonna pay for gas. It looks like.
Well, good. Then they can look. Now they can use their credit card and figure out what their names are.
Well, it's the helper who's doing it, not the original 2. But as we talked about them being low on gas, we're seeing right now that they are filling up, and I'm surprised that some of those cruisers aren't right there. I thought they were a little closer. Des, they gave them a little more space, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, they were until they got into those kind of traffic situations. We really haven't seen any ground units nearby since we were on the 710 when we kind of had that big glut of cars, and they've kind of just been on their own on the ground since then. But indeed, they are taking on some fuel. Looks like the blue bike getting some gas first.
Oh, these things fill quickly,
yeah, these only hold a couple of. They do fill quickly. Yeah, look at that. So.
Well, that's not good. Getting gas.
Looks like. Yeah, and it looks like one of their friends
also
getting some gas.
Yep, just starting it back up.
I guess they're turning this into a group ride here.
Anybody else need gas? This guy's. Anybody else need gas? See that?
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Well, they're done.
And they are getting back off again. I don't think I saw the white bike take on any fuel though.
No, he did first, and then he handed it off to the guy in the blue.
Okay. All right. So we got full tanks, and now all of a sudden a bunch of motorcyclists out here, and just.
Is that the original guy doing wheelies?
Yeah.
Yep. These are the original 2, and. Now they're out, and they're obviously feeling pretty good with full tanks of gas, and just
gonna fall.
pulling all the way back on the handlebars on this. Just outrageous behavior here now. In this big group, and now I don't know. I mean, does CHP even want to get involved? I mean, now we're talking about so many other people as well, and it just ridiculous behavior, but now I'm not even sure if CHP thinks that it's worth it to.
Look at this. He's showing off for all his friends. This is crazy.
I mean, they know the cameras are on them. The friends may have said, hey, we saw you on the news.
Oh, my gosh.
And now he's putting on a show.
He's definitely looking a little bit more confident now that he's got all his friends with him, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
He's clearly talented, but this is not the way to do it. Unbelievable here what's going on. A pursuit of dirt bikers. This has been going on for what, Amy, about 30, 40 minutes or so now?
Yeah,
we've been
definitely.
watching it here unfold on KCAL News. If this doesn't come to an end by the time this newscast comes to an end, we're going to be switching over to KCAL News at 5 o'clock over on Channel 2. So make sure you switch over at 5 o'clock. Stay here with us in the meantime as we watch this pursuit of two motorbikes continue here. Now they're on surface streets, right, Amy? This is very dangerous, a lot more traffic, and they're doing stunts basically on the road.
Yeah, this has just been so dangerous. The initial reason why officers were trying to pull them over is because they're on dirt bikes that aren't street legal. They didn't have on helmets. And when they attempted to pull them over, well, they took off. And originally it was just those two, the one on the white bike that is now doing a wheelie and the one up front on the blue bike. And now they've been joined by friends after gassing up. They seem to be certainly riding a little more aggressively.
Mike, I know you've been listening to police chatter there. Is there a plan on what to do here with so many people now involved?
Yeah, no, I mean, it really puts them in a not ideal situation. The CHP helicopter has actually pulled off. The fixed wing is still there up high. They're still up about 5,300 feet. So they're still monitoring it. But yeah, I mean, as Des mentioned, I mean, this certainly makes things a lot more difficult for the California Highway Patrol because now all of these people are, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You still have the original two that they wanted, which, what's interesting enough, I think technically the additional group that came in, since they have not tried to have been stopped yet, technically they probably wouldn't be wanted for felony evading like the first two. So CHP may still want the first two because at least they would be able to get them on a felony. Whereas the other ones, it would be more vehicle code violations. So we'll see, though. I mean, it certainly presents a challenge for them when you've got now a large group of these dirt bikers kind of doing this all at once here. But you've got at least the two in the front there that are wanted on the felony evading as well as the vehicle code violations. And look at that. That's ridiculous. That guy standing up and jumping around on the seat. I mean, these guys are going to get themselves seriously hurt. And as I think Amy mentioned earlier, they are at least fairly skilled at riding these dirt bikes. I mean, they've certainly been putting them through a lot and managing to evade law enforcement. And, CHP's tactic of hoping that they would run out of fuel seems to be up now because they were able to gas up. So now they're all stopping in this intersection. The original want on the white bike still on the phone. His friend's giving a handshake to the guy on the blue bike, giving him a job well done. So we'll see. I mean, there is a lot of people here now as they're waving to the cameras. They're well aware that they have turned this into a very large spectacle. Yeah,
we can see some of them waving right there at SkyCal, Mike. And Desmond, you were mentioning earlier, we've seen these also during some weeknights, even just regular bicycles, where there's a large group that comes through certain areas. This is a whole different thing, right, Des, when you're looking at motorized bicycles that are not street legal, doing these crazy stunts. This is dangerous for everybody out there right now. Wonder, can Desmond hear us?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And as we are still on Imperial Highway now, are we making a turn? Yes, looks like we're going up Figueroa. So I can tell you that law enforcement is pretty much completely pulled, now turning back around, but law enforcement's pulled out of this completely, I think, except for the fixed wing overhead. Maybe they're going to watch this for a little while, but it's just turned into a full-blown circus out here. We saw some people that were coming and even cheering them on. And, you don't want to see bad behavior like this rewarded, but unless some other agency decides to get involved, LA County Sheriff's deputies or, maybe Hawthorne, we are heading into Hawthorne's jurisdiction, if they want to get involved. But otherwise, it looks like these guys are likely to get away now at this point, unless the fixed wing is going to stick with these guys and then, try to move some units in kind of more surreptitiously. But the fixed wing alone is going to have a lot of trouble because they're up at such an altitude where they're going to have a lot of restrictions. I mean, we're very close to LAX's airspace right now, which is extremely vexing for any fixed wing aircraft. I mean, it's bad enough for us as it is down here at a lower altitude. We're near their Bravo airspace, and then we're trending towards LAX airport itself. You've got Hawthorne Airport, and so all of these kind of restrictions and the fact that they can't just stop and turn on a dime or hover also complicates things. So I'm becoming very doubtful that there's going to be any real serious attempt to be able to stop these guys. It just kind of looks like, lawless behavior is just being allowed to take place, and they've just made it so dangerous for themselves, especially. I mean, of course, if they run into someone else, they're going to do some property damage. They could possibly injure someone in another car as well. But CHP, it seems to just be saying, you know, it's not worth it. It's not worth putting up much of an effort to try to stop this. And now all of these other bikes that have gotten involved, really just kind of complicating things. So you don't want to see behavior like this rewarded, but unfortunately, it looks like that is the case at the moment.
All right, Desmond, and we're continuing to monitoring this story here. In just a sec, we're going to be switching over to KCAL News at 5 o'clock on Channel 2.
And we are on CBS Channel 2 with KCAL News at 5 o'clock. You've really been watching a show here, and not sure if that's what they intended this to be, but it certainly appears that way. Started out as 2 dirt bikers on the freeway, if I'm not mistaken. I was listening to you on, Mike and Daz and Amy here, and now ended up on the street on Imperial Highway, joined by other, not just dirt bikers, but other, what I would say, off-road vehicles. And what's so bad about this, they don't have license plates. These are illegal bikes no matter what. So how can they identify who these people are, right? Unless they could trace them with the license plates, but they can't do that. And I doubt if they had those red emission stickers that they're supposed to have to make them street legal. Yeah. We see some of them with no helmets on. The first 2 who were leading this posse, you know, I hate to say it, I just got back from Altadena with all the destruction there with the fires, and I almost wish they could drop some water on these folks to get them to stop.
Make the road a little slippery.
You know, it's almost, how do you get them to stop?
And so many, too, Pat. There are people on street bikes. There's other on ATV vehicles. All of them not street legal. There's that ATV in the middle there. They're popping wheelies. They're doing stunts. There we go. More wheelies. It's incredible. Obviously, they're very familiar with these bikes. They're well-skilled drivers. But this is not supposed to be happening on regular streets where the motoring public comes and goes.
It's fun until it's not. We're just hoping that something terrible doesn't happen, a crash, or even they could get hurt, especially the ones that aren't wearing helmets. Are they talented? Sure they are. But not for this kind of behavior on surface streets. And the fact that so brazen, yeah, we see you. Yeah. The fact that they're so brazen and call the other, folks to join them is it's, I'm going to say, disconcerting, because it's almost like giving a signal, yeah, you can do this and get away with it.
And we were wondering, Pat, early on in the pursuit, they were both on their phone. They were looking down. We were wondering, what are they doing? Who are they communicating with? Are they trying to make a plan to pull over at some point? But it seems to both Mike Rogers and I, just watching here, Mike, is that these guys were actually calling their friends to join them on this joyride.
Yeah, I definitely thought they were looking for a place to hide. I did not think they were going to bring in, maybe a dozen or so more friends on dirt bikes and quads or ATVs to get involved in this, as we're just off the edge of Hawthorne Airport. And I just want to do a little housekeeping logistical note. Dez is almost out of fuel, so he was going to have to go down to Hawthorne here in just a couple minutes to get some fuel, and we'll probably try to pick this up when he comes back up. I mean, at this point, it's going to be going on for a while, and I would assume the CHP fixed wing is just going to wait for them all to come to a stop and see if they want to do anything about it then. There are no license plates or anything, and I wonder how far CHP will go with this investigation, but that guy at the gas station used a credit card. Right, so they'll at least have a name of a credit card. I don't know how badly CHP will want to go after it to go, get a warrant for those records and all of that, but that certainly is there. They're on camera at that gas station as well, not to mention on camera in all of our shots. But, if they wanted to get a name, they could certainly get it off that credit card.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Now, even with the fixed wing, what could happen? I mean, you've got a bunch of folks here that could possibly go off in all different directions.
Right.
So how do you corral?
Well, my best guess is they would want the original 2, right? Because the rest of them technically, and we're going to start to see Desmond Shaw go away because he's going to go land at Hawthorne, but they would want the original 2 because the original 2 they can still get on a felony. The rest of them, they haven't technically tried to pull over, so you wouldn't be able to necessarily get them on felony evading. You would get them on a bunch of vehicle code violations and maybe some street racing stuff, but the first 2 were the ones that they could get on felonies, and that's the ones that they'll probably continue to follow and wait for them to go home or go wherever, and then maybe try to get some units there.
So, but you do believe they are keeping an eye.
Yeah, the CHP fixed wing is still there. They're still up at about 5,300 feet.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they would know that unless they heard us talking about it. But still, we are going to move on to other news this afternoon, and we'll certainly keep you updated on what happens here with the posse.